Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to another Power Trio podcast with me, Charlie, the British boy.
Me, Wes, the American boy. I don't. We'll work on that. Anyways, yeah, it's the power duo, trio, whatever, and it's a trio this time because we have a guest with us.
DJ Khaled. My entrance. You guys needed a button for of DJ Khaled quotables, so I wanted to enter with that.
This is our good friend Rowan.
Yeah.
We've for quite a while. He likes music, and specifically, there's a common thread here.
Yeah.
He likes the National.
Yeah, that's what today's podcast is about. We're going to be taking a look at The National, like how we all got into them, our favourite albums, talking through the discography and giving a top 10 ranking of all our favourite songs by them. So, yeah.
Yep. And National, I have a complicated history with this band. And I think, Charlie, you also have a bit of a hard time getting into them. I think it was a little easier for you, Rowan. I mean, I don't claim to know your journey with music.
We'll get to your journey soon.
I'll reveal more when I do my part of the talking.
All right. I'll go ahead and
than you two.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. So the National were a band that I initially had a lot of fun dissing on.
Oh God.
They were one of those bands that I couldn't get into. They were slow, and everything I had heard from them was very it didn't click with me. It was a little too, like I said, just kind of slow. Did not grab me in any way. And I'm not exactly sure why that was. Maybe I just had an off listen. I think it was with Alligator or something. So on like a best of list. And I didn't touch them for a while. And Sleep Well Beast came out, and I thought that one was good on release. And then I think I just listened to High Violet like sometime last year for the first time and really liked it. So I've gradually gone through their catalog and discovered that, I like the National.
I guess mine's kind of similar.
Process.
I'll go next, if you don't mind, Rowan.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I think I'll end up speaking longer.
You're going to be kept for time.
Yeah. No, I first heard about them through one of our old friends. Was it Koala that used to like the National?
Yeah, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
I remember him mentioning them, and then I looked them up one day. It must have been like a year or two ago, and I just clicked on the first YouTube video I saw, which turned out to be the song Graceless, which is from Trouble Will Find Me.
Right.
And I listened to it, and I was kind of like, this is just, like you said, Wes, slow, doesn't really do anything for me. So then I sort of just shelved them.
Go into later.
Yeah, I sort of just shelved them and didn't think about them for ages. And then I can't exactly remember when I fully got into them, but I think it was sometime this year. It might have been the lead up to the release of their newest album, I Am Easy to Find.
Yeah,
and I think
remember, like the week leading up to that, you were like, "I'm really excited. I've been listening to a ton of their albums," and I was like, "Wait, really?"
Yeah, it was.
It like came out of nowhere to me.
Because
I guess Charlie likes the National now too.
I think I listened to "You Had Your Soul with You," the single, and I was like, "This is cool." So I like downloaded their first couple albums, listened to them. And I was like, this is cool, carried on, got to High Violet, and I was like, this is really cool, and then listened to it all. And now I'm here. I like the National.
Woo.
Good stuff.
Now, Rowan, give us your details.
Okay, so I first heard about the National during my more active days of perusing SputnikMusic.com. They are huge fans of the National. Like you go to the page for the National, they have three of their albums, Alligator, Boxer, and High Violet, at a 4.3 out of 5, which in terms of Sputnik, that's like a classic score right there. And it's back to back to back, which is
good streak.
Insane. insane for the site. So yeah, so naturally I was pretty hyped up about it, along with everything that people say about them. And it was at the time that Sleepwell Beast was being released, so there was a lot of buzz around them. But I didn't get into them right there. The first time I got into them was impulse buying Sleepwell Beast, maybe like a month or two into 2018.
I remember that.
I found Sleepwell Beast, and I was like, and I think Koala was still there, so he was kind of hyped up about that because Koala's a big fan of the National. And
yeah, he was the first convert.
Yeah, and yeah, I will agree that like the National is a very slow band to get into.
Yeah, definitely.
You guys have the common theme of first thinking it's very slow and plodding and not very interesting.
Oh, and it's something that the band are well aware of.
Yeah, and I think
like
that's
I saw
how.
oh, wait, you go on. Sorry.
I feel like that's how I was at first too, because it took me a while to get into Sleepwell Beast. It took me a while to get into Boxer. It took me a while to get into pretty much all of their albums. They're very slow, and they require multiple listens for sure, just to be able to kind of let them seep in.
Yeah.
The ultimate sleeper band, really.
The ultimate sleeper band. As a quote that what would it be? A nice little headline, I would like to call them. They physically hit with the force of a hotel pillow, and emotionally with the force of the rest of the bed frame.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah. But yeah, yeah.
So
I think what helped me to get into the National more was actually like one time showing Boxer to my dad one time when we were driving up to Yosemite, and that was like probably one of the only albums that I've shown him where he's like, whoa, I really like this. And I've like, and on multiple occasions, I've had multiple occasions where I eavesdrop into my dad's room and he's just playing the National, and I just find it like kind of inspiring that, you know, I feel like I've just shown him one of his favorite bands of all time.
Man, that's awesome.
So the National definitely hold a special place in my heart.
I've done that. I've gotten my dad into a few bands. I got him. I turned him on to Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
I saw Queens of the Stone Age with him live. We saw them last year, and that converted him. He said that's one of like the tightest shows he's ever seen, and he actually has a rated R shirt.
Nice.
And then recently he's been digging Deer Hunter.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I guess that'll always give a soft spot to a band. If you get someone else into a band, or if you have a friend, family member who you can talk about that band.
Yeah, and like there are a few bands that I shared like likeliness with my dad. I think the National is like on like a different plane when it comes to that, because as far as I know, that's one of his favorite bands, and the National are definitely like in like a high or top tier range of my favorite bands.
Yeah,
so that's what
they're dad rock. It's dad rock.
Dad rock. I will say when I was first listening to the National, one of the things that like really stood out to me is that like this feels like the type of music you could like literally grow old to.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
It gets better with age, and I think that ties back into how it takes time to be
equivalent of wine almost.
Yeah.
It almost makes me sad that I'm young and listening to the National. I wish that I could have been. It's the case with a lot of bands. Like I wish I could have followed them a little more as they progressed.
Yeah.
Because that'd be really cool to be around, like get into them around Alligator and like follow them up until now. You're kind of maturing with the band.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I hear that.
There's a ton of bands I have that kind of feeling with. That I'm into these older bands, and I'm still an older teenager, but these are guys who are like the masterminds of the bands are like late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
So
it's
mid to late 80s in some cases.
Well, back to
it's always refreshing to find but it makes it really fun when you do find a newer band that's like oh, they're only like 10 years older than I am.
Yeah.
Be a fan longer time. I don't have to rush to go see them live for fear that this album's going to be their last one.
Yeah. Back to when we were saying about getting parents into bands, I did that with one that Wes will definitely approve of, which was I'd got my dad into the Manic Street Preachers.
Ooh,
hell yeah.
When I took him to see them live last year, and he knew a few of their songs, but he wasn't really excited for it. But then after the concert, he was like, holy shit, these guys are fantastic. Because they've got some energy live, man, let me tell you that. If you ever can see them, go and see them.
Yeah, they're a British thing, so I don't know. But my uncle's really into the Manic Street Preachers. He's a big fan of them.
Yeah.
Like he had told me about them before I'd even known you. So, and when you talked about them, I was like, I guess I should check them out. Another one of the big British bands.
Yeah, no, Charlie.
Welsh bands.
You show him Holy Bible, right?
Welsh.
Yeah. No, I didn't show him Holy Bible.
Good.
I don't think they played anything live from it.
I guess we should probably focus up.
Yeah, right. We got to get into.
I see it. It's a fun tangent, and I want to go on the tangent.
But it's going to end up being like 7 hours long.
We don't want to be as long as I Am Easy to Find here. We want to keep it, we don't want to be more Sleep Well Beast level. Just under an hour.
So the first thing we're doing, I guess, is going through the discography. So just studio albums here. We're not going to be counting.
Talk about the album just in broad strokes.
Yeah.
Starting from album number 1, 2001's self-titled, The National.
Yeah. So that was after 2 years after the band formed in 1999, my birth year. Woo. National from Ohio.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yeah.
Which we have a friend who's very close to there.
Yeah.
So yeah, self-titled.
They're they're probably the biggest band I can think of from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
This album, it's a bit it's weird because you definitely get the sense that they haven't quite gotten their sound yet.
Yeah, I mean they haven't even got their art direction because the album cover is just a picture of their drummer in a swimming pool.
Yeah. Also, I do get some serious dad vibes.
Yeah.
They're like 25 and already
it makes sense.
But I think
it makes sense, but I can't shake it.
I mean, I think Matt Berninger is just one of those. He's one of those unfortunate souls who has always looked 40.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. You look at pictures of him from the band, and it's like, yeah, he looks the exact same. But I guess that's a perk now that he is actually in his 40s. He looks the same.
He's going to be one of those people that doesn't age.
Yeah, your Mick Keenans or your David Burns.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think the first thing that strikes you when you listen to this album is that it's mainly acoustic focused with the guitars.
Yeah, there's a lot more acoustic stuff. Later, it's not that the National is a particularly electric band, but they kind of have that cleaner electric sound plugged in. Whereas there's a lot of acoustic guitar on this album. It's one of our friends pointed out that it's almost a bit of you have some alt country vibes on this.
Yeah, definitely.
The alternative,
the alternative, as you refer to.
But it also lays down some staples for the band, such as Matt Beringer's low voice.
Yeah, that's never going.
His low singing.
Yeah, it's always there.
It's a staple of the band.
You'd think when I say the National haven't found their sound, it's like, oh, are they a little more energetic? No, they are still a very downtrodden band at this point. I would say they're even more energetic on their next two than on this one.
Oh yeah, I think so.
And this album is it's a pleasant listen. It's definitely interesting to knowing where they are now. Go back and listen to that, and it's very different, but you can still kind of see traces.
Yeah. Is there any standout songs you guys want to talk about? Because I've got two I want to quickly mention.
I got one.
I couldn't tell you a name.
Go, Rowan.
All right, the only standout track I took away from this album was the very quick second to last track, which is probably an interlude called 29 Years.
That's going to be important. Remember that, listeners. I'm going to come back to this later.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try not to spoil too much, but even apart from Connections, it's a bit of a standout because not real. It's not really set up with traditional rock instrumentation. It's more of like a kind of kind of an ambient track with some lo-fi tendencies. I kind of got some like vibes from the very first. There's like a few songs on the very first Chelsea Wolf album where the guitar recording was very similar to this track on here.
Yeah.
And it was super lo-fi and very faint in the background, and like you have these like very faint pulsing electronics. And I thought it was a nice touch for, even if it doesn't really save the album in my opinion, because it happens so short and so late into the album that it doesn't really do anything.
Yeah. And,
it doesn't change it up very much. So
the two songs. Sorry, were you finished, right?
There was another like off tangent thing that I wanted to point out.
Yeah.
I was getting a few in Matt Bergener's voice. I got a few like I was reminded a bit of Michael Jura's delivery on some of his more like folkier projects.
Oh yeah,
I see where you're coming from.
Especially Angels
Burning
of
World.
Light. Burning World, especially the Angels of Light stuff that he did in the 2000s, and possibly even whenever he does a take in Soundtrack to the Blind or the more post-punk 90s material.
That's an interesting comparison.
Yeah. I think like now that the information is in your head and you go back and listen to it, it might be easier to get. But like, that's just something that I picked up on when I was listening to the album.
So the two songs that I remember from this album, and I guess it's a given, it's the first two tracks. So we'd start the song off with Beautiful Head, which kind of weird name, but I like the song. It's got this kind of upbeat acoustic melody going on, some good vocals, kind of memorable, I guess you could call it a chorus, which I liked. And then the second track, Cold Girl Fever, again, that's just got a nice melody. And those, I only really took the melodies from this album.
I do remember Cold Girl Fever. That was a good track.
Yeah. But I think that wraps it up for their debut, which moves us nicely along to their second studio album, 2003's Sad Songs for Dirty Lovers, which, may I point out, I think has the worst album cover in their discography.
In their defense, it's their most colorful album cover.
That's true.
I mean,
I think
High Violet's got some colors.
This is a step up. This is definitely, I would say, like,
it sort of
stylistic. This is the first national album that really, it's like, okay, that's a national album.
Yeah, it sort of took.
I would honestly want this to be the first national album.
Because it took what they did and just made it better.
Yeah, and there's a lot more play with like background effects and textures in some of these songs, especially the opening track, Cardinal Songs, which is probably like my favorite on the entire album. Very nice, like almost slowcore, 6-minute opener.
It's a very it's a much more detail-oriented album. It's not quite as simple and straightforward as the self-titled was, and I think it it benefits from that. It's a it's not perfect, and they're still figuring some stuff out. Some kinks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think the production is a little. It's not bad per se, but it's nothing to write home about. I think aside from Cardinal Song, there's not as much. One thing I do love about some of the National's best stuff is the way that they're able to play with empty space a lot in their music, and that's not as present on Sad Songs. I think the production's a little dense, I would say, on some songs.
The only song that stood out to me from this one was actually the closing track, Lucky You, because I don't know if you guys remember that track, but it kind of hints at what's to come. It feels like a little more of a complete National song. It's got like, it's got good melody, good drumming going on, and we've also got like good lyrics, because I feel like on later albums the lyrics are excellent, and that shines through on Lucky You, because I think that's the first
Yeah.
time I stopped and I was like, this is actually some good writing going on here. Like,
I mean, not that like the lyrics were terrible, but yeah,
it's
like
just
the first
better
time they
later
stood
on.
out. You were like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
Yeah,
you could pick out certain words and be like, oh, this is powerful stuff. For me, the song I really take away from this album that strikes me is "Slipping Husband," the second track.
I remember this
Oh
one.
yeah,
If only for that one moment that I think any national fan remembers that song for, where I don't know what, like, just Matt just loses it.
Yeah, he goes from 0 to 100 in like very quickly, which is
Yeah, like it's just
it's not
surprising.
indicative of anything that the National stands for. But
There's like maybe one or one, two, maybe three times in their whole discography where he ever kind of comes close to that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, sad songs for Dirty Lover. It's a very solid. It's solid.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it more later. But for now,
We're
I
moving
think we should
on
move
to their third
Alligator.
studio album, 2005. This one, nice name. I like
This is
the word
start of
alligator.
National's winning streak.
Yeah,
I would say, like, in almost every aspect, just a level up, so to speak.
yeah. This is where they started to find their footing. I feel like they started to put more electric guitars in rather than acoustics, and play around a bit.
Yeah, I think like I said, space is a big part of what makes the National good, and I think they're starting to figure that out more. I think the National know how to use minimalism to their advantage, and there's that's something that I think a lot of bands underestimate within their own music, is how important playing with that kind of empty space can be, and how much more powerful that can make a song.
I think
quiet moments.
This album as well features their first live staple in the closer Mr. November.
That's a great song. Yeah. And I was talking about more subtle moments. That song is not subtle whatsoever. The chorus is pretty aggressive for them.
Yeah.
It's not Slipping Husband levels, or even Abel on this record is has a very romantic delivery in the chorus, but Mr. November is pretty catchy for them. Very immediate.
Yeah.
And I can't talk about this album without talking about the opener, Secret Meeting. I fucking love that song.
It's a great opener. I think the National, from this point on, the National do kind of their openers really.
Yeah, their openers are strong from this album on. I agree.
Yeah, like some of their openers are usually end up being like my favorite from the album.
Yeah, and this is I think there are people who love this album a little more than I do.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I appreciate it most its importance in the band's evolution.
Yeah. It's like a transitional album between sad songs and the next one.
Yeah, the next one is certainly
that's the significant one. Stuck on that one.
I think we're going to have our first disagreements on the next one if we're ready to move on.
All right, yeah.
So we move on to
next is
fourth
Boxer.
studio album. 2007 Boxer was. Got another black album cover like Alligator.
For most people, and I'd say for critics especially, this is where it's at. This is best National album. To a lot of people, and I can see it. It's
I would agree for the most part.
It is, for all intents and purposes, a great album.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say it's just a really cohesive one. I think as an album, it's one of those things that you just play front to back, and it really works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It has a really good. It's very moody. It's a down. But this is the album where, for me, the National really just arrived as a band
Yeah.
and found themselves.
Yeah. I want to draw attention to the actual art of this album. For sure, the music.
Yeah, I really like it.
The songs on this album are like some of their best tracks ever. I mean, you got like Fake Empire, Apartment Story, etc., etc. But if you go to the art,
Mistaken for Strangers, yeah.
Mistaken for Strangers, of course. The whole album is fantastic. But if you go to the art for Boxer, one thing that like I started catching on the more I've listened to this album and the National in general is that the art is like very like on the nose as to what the National as a whole is and wants to be, because you have them, a rock band, playing on this stage in a very like sophisticated and like dimly lit and just like eye pleasing like
it looks like a wedding.
I did look. I have looked this up,
like a dinner party,
and there is
and
Wes was right.
It's very sophisticated. It's a classy looking.
Yeah, Wes, you're right. It's them playing at one of their friends' weddings, and they're actually playing songs from Alligator in that picture.
Oh wow, that is really cool.
Imagine having the National play at your wedding, for fuck's sake.
It sounds like a really depressing wedding, especially considering their last two albums.
Yeah, but just the early stuff.
Like,
it might make you think twice about, like, oh, should we go through with this?
You just gotta pick the right songs, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is the album where the National starts to incorporate way more. They start to incorporate way more classical and like chamber elements. You have a lot more piano, you have a lot more stringed instruments, and it just feels very lavish. And I think that's a great connection to establish between the actual music of this record, which is like a marrying of chamber music and indie rock and post-punk together, and it comes off as very cohesive.
Yeah.
Side note, it looks like it's kind of about to thunderstorm outside, so I apologize if there's any noise or anything. That's what that is.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Right. Sweet Home Alabama.
These guys are not always blue.
Yeah.
They're very often.
Right, I'm gonna bring some thunder and start the first disagreement, because this album is good.
Mm-hmm.
I like it, but I don't think it's their best.
You don't think it's...
No, I mean, I can see where some people are coming from, but there's still some low points for me on this album where I'm like, I'm not quite feeling it. I think that specifically the track Racing Like a Pro, I don't like that song.
Yeah, I can guess you can... After I think Guest Room, I think the album does dip a little bit in quality.
Oh.
It doesn't end as strongly as it begins.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think it's still a very consistent album. Like I said, it's very cohesive, very good album experience. Mm-hmm. But I would say, there's not as many tracks that really kind of stand out towards the end. But, I mean, the tracks that do stand out, they're just fantastic.
Yeah.
I mentioned Mistaken for Strangers. I think might have their strongest hook, ever.
I like Brainy as well. Is it Brainy?
Brainy's great. Brainy's, I really like it. I really love the verse-chorus transition on that one. It's like very smooth. You barely notice it, but once it hits, you're like, oh man, that's done really well.
Probably my favorite musical moment on the album is the drumming in Squalor Victoria.
Yeah,
a lot of the drum elements.
I don't know how we've gotten through this without talking about the National's drummer.
Yeah, he's fucking brilliant. He lays down some interesting drum patterns that all this slow music goes over the top of, and it's almost like chaos underneath the calm,
I would say he's very much the MVP.
Yeah.
Of the band. And that's what most people do notice about the National when they're into them. Is Brian's his drumming is it basically on their best kind of is the band. It lays the groundwork. It almost keeps you exciting. It keeps things exciting, and maybe it sometimes is the one thing keeping you awake.
Yeah, because a lot of times their songs will start with the drumming, like, and make that the focus, and then like the other musical instruments will layer on top.
Yeah, and that's not to say everything else is boring, but it keeps your attention and allows you to focus on, some of the subtleties that you might not notice if your mind was wandering, and then you're like,
and
something Matt's saying. And, it makes a lot more sense.
The one last thing I want to... Oh, really go Rowan. Go Rowan.
Yeah, I will say that the one thing that I think I really like about the drumming, and this is more of just me being visual, because the National is very, very much like a nocturnal band, at least from an aesthetic standpoint.
Yeah.
As you can tell from very sleepy. So
my favorite sleepy music band.
Yeah, so to have this fast drumming over these very slow and just kind of sleepy songs makes it better, makes it work for just like driving around in a car at night, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of, I mean, the National in a lot of ways were kind of part of that whole post-punk revival movement in the 2000s. Yeah. And I think a lot of ways because of the drumming. Because I think one thing I've noticed about post-punk in general is how rhythm-based it is. A lot of it dependent on the drummer and the bass. It's not as guitar-centric. The guitar is not the main focus in a lot of post-punk bands.
And I would say if we're gonna focus on the drumming for a little bit, I think we need to end it off by talking about the transition in the opener Fake Empire. Because Jesus Christ, that is fantastic. I love that whole drumming pattern. Because so for those who don't know, Fake Empire starts off on this very kind of bouncy piano rhythm.
Yeah.
Which is already a great rhythm in the first place. But when the drums start getting worked into the entire song, it locks into this very strange rhythm, but they somehow managed to make the whole work.
I noticed that the first time I listened to it, I was like, how is this working? But it just is.
That's like
they're really good at that.
Oh, and quick hot take. Can I hot take quick?
Yeah.
I feel like the trumpets or whatever they are at the end of Fake Empire ruin the song, honestly.
I was about to talk about how good the trumpets are.
Oh, no, I don't like them. I think if they weren't there, the song would be so much better.
I find it to be like a nice.
You're not a fan of the brass, Charlie?
No, I like brass. I just feel like in that song it doesn't work. Like, because all the times I've listened to it, when that bit comes on, I sort of lose the feeling of the song. I'm kind of like, it zones me out of it.
I could see that, because it is a very quiet song.
It is. I find
it's a kind of almost peaceful opener and then you get into Mistaken for Strangers, which is this much. It's a very moody, dark. For the National, it's a rocker.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I find
and certainly one of the more high energy tracks on the record.
The trumpets definitely give the song a more triumphant feel, which I think is why I personally love them much more.
Yeah, I can see that actually.
For the sake of keeping Fake Empire in like a very as a very quiet opener, I could see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely been evolved.
I guess it depends on what you're how you're interpreting it as a song.
So on this album, the last thing I wanted to mention was this is where we come back to 29 years, Rowan.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, because
Slow Show.
Yeah, Slow Show. The second half of that song, like it reprises it almost.
Mm-hmm. It just straight up transitions into a reprise of that whole.
And I love that bit. That's one of my favorite moments of Boxer.
I know. Yeah, that was one of the standout things that I noted the first time I listened to Boxer. The very first time. Like I think I remember like sending that to you guys the first time I listened to it. I was like, that's a nice lyric. The lyric of I've dreamed about you for 29 years before I saw you. And so on and so forth.
And I'm assuming this is before you listened to their debut. When you listen to when you're going backwards and listening to their debut, you're like, oh my goodness.
No, you see, I listened to their debut first.
Back to this.
I listened to their debut first, and then Boxer. So
Yeah, so like
I
I think
noticed it.
either
I was
way,
like, ah,
whichever song you listen to first, it's still like a cool moment.
yeah.
That's always interesting when bands do that, you know.
Listen to the Deer Hunter. They do it always.
listen,
Or
listen to my
my
album.
favorite, if we want to go to my favorite band, Car Seat Headrest, Will is constantly interpolating his own songs into newer songs.
Yeah, we should do a car seat headrest for another episode. That would be a cool one. But yeah, I think we should move. Yeah, I think we should move to the next album. So, fifth studio album, we jump forward 3 years this time instead of 2 to 2010. High Violet. Oh my god.
Wait, hold on. Okay, time out. Okay, I'm looking at the Rate Your Music right now. Justin Vernon's on the closing track. Oh my god.
Wait, what?
Justin Vernon.
Oh, that is an absolutely amazing track. Vanderlei Crybaby Geeks, right?
Yeah, I love that song.
Vanderlei Crybaby Geeks. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either. Like next time I listen to it, I'll be like,
I'm gonna listen
look for it.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Not on the podcast. We don't want to get sued. None of us have. We don't have the budget for that. We don't have a budget.
Yeah, we don't.
There's just no budget.
But yeah, this album, I think
this is an excellent album. I think, like, just track for track, this thing kills.
Yeah, this is mine and your favorite, Wes, isn't it? In their whole thing.
No comment until the first section.
Okay.
But yeah, this High Violet is. I will say this: it is what convinced me to keep trying with the National, because I listened to it. I went into it expecting to be kind of lukewarm on it, and I'm out the other end loving it. I think this is an excellent record.
Yeah, this is the one that dragged me into them as well. Because after Boxer, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to continue, but then High Violet just swallowed me into the National.
I think the cover is very representative, because it's a colorful record, but the color, like I keep coming back to this, I keep repeating this point about space and everything, and how they use it. And I think that shows up on this record. It's colorful, but it's like splashes of color on a really big canvas.
Yeah.
So there's still a ton of white.
Just like the album cover.
Yeah. I was trying to hit on some, very deep, metaphor, but I just described the cover.
Yeah, because the cover's actually a sculpture in a museum or something, like a wire sculpture.
It's I think it's a beautiful album, and there's just there's just so many songs I love on this thing.
Yeah.
Anyone's Ghost is a big favorite of mine. Really good hook, and I like the very steady drumming.
Yeah.
And
what I love
I can't tell if it's like a guitar, a pedal, or like synths, maybe both.
Yeah.
A great song. We touched on Vanderlei Crybaby Geeks.
Terrible
sad,
Love.
Very
that's a very emotional closer.
Yeah. Terrible Love, the opener. Very, very good.
It almost has like a swing feel once the drums come in. I feel like.
Vanderlei, Terrible Love.
Terrible Love, yes, another fantastic album.
Yeah, that's fucking brilliant.
You think it's gonna start out just like most other National songs,
and then there's that bit with the drums.
When the drumming comes in,
the guitars in.
Yeah, I think Matt's vocals get almost kind of gospel-y on this track, or like you get that gospel feel.
Definitely.
When his vocals come in the second time.
The track intensifies, slows down, and then it intensifies again. It's it surprised me, because I think when I first listened to it, I remembered it kind of just being, how it opens, very slow, but then that part kicked in, and I was like, oh wait, this song kind of goes somewhere.
Another testament to the...
And then another song, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Blood Buzz Ohio.
Yeah, one of the singles from the album. Brilliant song. Brilliant. I love all the vocal melodies in that one.
I would agree.
I sing that all the time. It gets stuck in my head, so I was singing it at work today, for God's sake.
I know, I feel like
one of my favorites on the album is I discovered it when I was going back through. I realized just how much I love Conversation 16.
Yes, same.
A lot of conversations.
And I was memeing to you guys because I was like singing it to myself, and I sang it in kind of a more mumbly tone, and I was like, Conversation 16, but sung by Will Toledo.
I want that to happen. We got to petition them to cover that.
Does he like the National?
I don't know.
I'm always scared with him, with Will. He's a very opinionated person.
Yeah.
As you would expect.
Yeah.
That
Don't mess with the angry art nerd.
Yeah, I do. Going back to Matt's vocals, I feel like some of his vocals become much more standout rather than like kind of reinforcing the mood of the track in a lot of these songs.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
They take charge just to
to
another texture.
Yeah, you go to tracks like Little Faith, Afraid of Everyone, Conversation 16, pretty much like Conversation 16 to like the end of the album, pretty much the last 3 tracks. There's a lot of tracks on here where he tries to reach a higher register, which is definitely stepping outside of his comfort zone. And I think it works in making songs.
Yeah, it works really well, especially on Conversation 16 and Vanderlaw Cry Beats. It works really well.
And who can forget
he doesn't quite reach into, he never goes into falsetto, of course, but
yeah, and he doesn't quite
you can tell that he's stretching, and it adds a lot of emotion to his performances, which is really it's great when a National song gets even sadder.
And we've also got my favourite ever National song, England, on this album.
Yeah.
I was like, don't spoil it, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, this is just a meme. This is just a meme.
Not a bad song, but no, I wouldn't say it's one of the standout.
No.
Or anything. But we're not beating around the bush at all. We're nothing but praise for this album. There's not a song that really stands out to me as a low point. If I could think of one, it might actually be England, just because not like any really remarkable. It feels kind of like just another good song on the album.
Damn you, Wes.
My xenophobia is showing here.
But
underrated in the English.
Now, giving this album a lot of praise, I think we should flip that on its head and move to the next album. Another 3-year jump, 6th studio album, 2013's Trouble Will Find Me.
There we go.
Yeah. So, this was the first one I heard.
We talked about how we had a hard time getting into the National because we thought they were slow.
Yeah, it's this album. Yeah.
Because this is basically the epitome of National's slower sides, and a lot of people love this thing, and I can see why.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, you feel that 55-minute runtime.
Yeah, I listened to the whole thing this morning in preparation for this podcast, and I felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe even more than their last one, which, I'll get to that later. And that's not to say, as someone who does like the National now, going back and revisiting this, I like it more. I think it's good. It's a good album. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a bit of a slog in some
places. It can lose
but
itself in the slog as well.
Yeah.
I think the writing is really good throughout this record, and I think it's kind of funny too. You can pick out some lines. I forget. I think on Pink Rabbits, there's a certain line about. I think it's. I was a T version of someone with a broken heart, and it's this very self-deprecating and kind of almost meta line, very self-aware album.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
the National are kind of a more. The National are kind of a more self-aware band, because if you watch interviews with them, they're not at all doom and gloom. They're very kind of charming and very warm people. Like if you've ever seen Matt Berninger's personal Instagram account, it's goofy as hell. He's always doing these weird skits, like he's teaching you how to play guitar, and he tunes it, and then he's on a trampoline and he throws the guitar into like a basketball hoop. He's saying that's how we play guitar.
I will ask,
And
since I haven't seen his Instagram, I will ask: is it like how Rivers Cuomo deals with the internet, but better in a sense, or like more?
If Rivers Cuomo made music that was more well received, maybe.
Yeah.
I would say, but like even the band, like in an interview, I think they did like that pitchfork over under thing where they decide whether something's over or underrated, and I think they were talking about drugs or sleeping pills or something, and they talked about their music, and he's like, it gets even slower. So they're definitely a band who knows what they sound like and how people perceive them, which is good. I think that's an advantage for any band.
I think we need to get onto any standout tracks you guys enjoy.
I kind of found
the big song from this album, "I Need My Girl."
I think the big songs are the ones that actually stand out from the album. Don't Swallow the Cap, I Need My Girl.
I like the opener too. I Should Live in Salt.
Yeah, I Should Live in Salt. I
remember solid way to start the album. I wasn't a huge fan of the hook because I don't like the title chorus thing. But Fireproof has this really good instrumental that I dug a lot. The guitar especially really works for me on that song.
One thing I found strange.
Don't Swallow the Cap has this really great. I love the intro to that song. It's I think there's like synths, but it's heavy fuzz and drums. And I think it works really well.
One thing I found strange about this album was the song Demons. Like, personally, I don't really like it, but the band released it as a single, which was a bit strange. I feel like this album, they released bad songs as the singles. Like, Graceless isn't really that much of a standout track, and it was a single, and Demons as well. And Graceless was where I entered with the band as well.
Yeah, I remember that. And but yeah, I mean, one thing that did get right was releasing "I Need My Girl" as a single, because I think that is looking at Spotify their most streamed song, their most successful song. I think it's a live staple, and it's easy to see why. The guitar in that song is just beautiful and addictive. It's that just short little, and it's great. And I think we can wrap up our thoughts on that one there. It's not a bad album, but after a winning streak, I think it was not necessarily a misstep, but
it was just a lull in the winning streak.
Yeah.
Did you have anything to add?
This, that when I was listening to this album, there was something about it that just felt more like there wasn't like the actual national spark. And maybe this is probably something more apparent after like listening to the whole discography back to back, but after hearing Boxer and High Violet, and then immediately going to this album, there's just something about all the extra details that make The National so amazing that are not as prevalent on this album. I feel like
I feel like the drumming isn't quite as strong. It's not as creative.
It feels like very I guess meat and potatoes National rather than like super lavish The National. And
I would say it's like stripped back almost. I think it's kind of maybe their most minimalist.
Yeah.
I think it's their most minimalist, and I think that's the reason some people really like it. It draws a focus on the songwriting and stuff, but it's not necessarily what I want out of The National all the time. So it's not my favorite, and I think we're going to use that as a way to transition into Sleep Well.
Yeah, 2017, the longest gap between albums, and this came out 2 years ago, 2017.
And I would almost say like not an apology for Trouble Will Find Me, but I think some people who wanted a different sound from that album definitely got it on Sleep Well.
Yeah, this one's got a lot more like up moments. It's got some of the more rock moments in the band's discography, like Turtleneck.
Day I Die is like the drums on that song are fast and energetic, and then the guitar squeals, and that's just an amazing track. And System Only Dreams and Total Darkness, the lead single from that
Yeah.
record, has a really good chorus.
That song.
Yeah, the chorus is fucking brilliant, and the little guitar licks,
And
the
then,
like,
like,
banana,
'cause I
that's great.
remember listening to those singles and being like, oh, I like those, and then I listened to the album, and the album
Slow
is one
again.
of the most depressing National.
Yeah.
Like, you listen to Nobody Else Will Be There, and you're like, oh,
I love
no.
I love Nobody Else Will Be There.
This is the sleepiest National album, and I think that's why I love it so much.
To be fair, they did warn you.
Yes, this was
title.
how I got. Yeah, yeah, the Sleep All Beats. Yeah, and like the whole second half of the album is just one, like, obviously, like, you have songs like I'll Still Destroy You that are like a little more energetic, but I feel like that whole second half is just like sleeper hit after sleeper hit.
This is like what the Hulk listens to come out of Hulk mode.
Yeah.
Dark Side. Yeah, Hulk's favorite song is "Dark Side of the Gym."
Yes, I love Dark Side.
Yeah, that's a great song.
In particular, I'm like a real fan favorite.
Yeah, I love that one.
I like "Guilty Party" a lot when we're on the back half. While we're on the back half.
Yeah, "Guilty Party" is fantastic. That was one of my favorite songs when I first listened to it. Little falling out of
album
favor.
does. You say it is one of the sleepiest, but it has moments that definitely shake you awake.
Yeah.
Day I Die, I mentioned earlier.
Turtleneck.
And then there's Turtle. There's probably the most lively the National have sounded since Alligator.
Yeah, Turtleneck and maybe like Day I Die and System are like the main exceptions to the album. But I feel like Turtleneck is the one where like I can't like make an excuse for that one, because I feel like with System and Day I Die, you could be like, oh, it kind of sounds.
Turtleneck is a little bit of it's a weird one. I like that song a lot. It's really fun, almost kind of menacing. There's a bit of venom in that song.
It's a political song too, so I guess that's where the venom comes from.
Yeah, it's very biting. It's one of the few National songs that has teeth. Not in a bad
not just
way.
gums.
I'm not saying that all the National songs are toothless and lightweight, but like I said, it's a very sharp song.
Yeah,
compared to the rest of the album.
With the inclusion of that track, it just makes me think that the band wanted a track like that in there in order for listeners to not completely fall asleep before they finish the album. But that's my only real gripe with the album. The rest of the album is so completely fantastic.
Yeah. Well,
it's great.
I guess. Anyone else got anything else to say about this one? Or shall we?
Great album. I would say it's maybe a little too long for me personally. It's like
58
50 minutes or something. It gets right up on the hour.
Speaking of an hour, I think we got the album no one expected. Like, 2
from the National
this year actually.
We got to talk about it last time. We're gonna act like it was intentional because of this episode.
Yeah.
But
the band's longest.
An hour 6 minutes. National's latest and longest album, and
I think it's fucking beautiful.
Year, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I currently it's my highest rated album of the year. Currently, we've still got a few months, but I think the word to describe it is.
Is there something that's kind of big? That's a big deal.
Oh yeah, there's something coming up at the end of this month. But it slipped my mind.
There, that's what it is.
Same day. Taylor Swift, the 23rd. That's what you're looking for.
No, fucking King Giz.
I'd love for her to collab with Rick and Yuri again. Anyways. I Am Easy.
It's a good album.
If I was gonna describe it in one word, this album would be gorgeous.
It is very gorgeous. It's definitely
this album. If I'm not wrong, on every track features female vocals.
Yeah, I think nearly every track does. I don't know about everyone, but yeah.
It should be every track but Light Years, which is the closer to this track.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, but it's like, for the most part, it's like the same, like maybe 4 or so female vocalists. You have Gail Ann Dorsey on the first 3 tracks. You have Mina Tyndall on Oblivion, Lisa Hannigan, on track 5, The Pull of You, as well as Sharon Van Eaton, who put out an album this year.
Yeah, that was a good album. I don't know that either heard it. Sharon Van Etten's album was pretty good.
Yeah, the Brooklyn Youth Course also makes appearances on the more interlude tracks of this album.
Yeah.
Which is Underwater and Dust Swirls in Strange Light.
Those in Strange Light. Yeah.
Pretty haunting, but I'm not a fan of the melody on that track, at least.
I like that a lot, actually.
But yeah,
something I've stumbled upon with I Am Easy to Find is that I think it's supposed to be a sister album to Trouble Will Find Me.
I think, yeah, it would seem as much, because it looks like the same girl on both covers.
Like, yeah, and it's like got the same black and white.
Yeah, both kind of have that white aesthetic, and then they're both long and both kind of more sleepy. I would say.
I'd say this album's a lot more bright, and I think you can see that by the splashes of like paint on the album cover. Like it's a lot more experimental and symphonic, you know.
I think this album,
and this has a ton of highlights for me.
Yeah. It's got a lot of real good tracks.
Rating it really high is, again, that length. There are, 2, maybe 3 songs that I could do without, and keep it a little tighter.
I mean,
and I've noticed, like, the last time I listened to this thing in full, it was like at night, and time slowed down. It ceased to exist while I listened to this album. Like, I would be listening to one song, and it felt like forever has. It felt like 15 minutes, and then it's like, oh, that 3.5 minute song just ended.
Yeah. I mean,
it's not necessarily a bad thing. It might have just been that I was super tired.
I think the length doesn't bother me, being a real big prog fan, because I'm always listening to real long albums.
Yeah. But this is a very patient album, but like you said, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's goddamn gorgeous.
Worth it, especially as a national fan. And there are just some amazing highs on this album.
Yeah.
You had your song we mentioned at the very beginning as a great single, great opener.
Yeah.
I know you both Light Years, very painful and sad ballad / loser.
Oblivions, I like Oblivions.
I like Oblivion a lot.
Yeah, there we go.
That's kind of an underrated.
And the 2 6-minute tracks, what is it? So far, so
fast.
So far, so fast. And the other one, I can't remember the name of.
That's a good one.
One of them has a Michael Stipe reference.
I would say it's kind of the centerpiece almost.
Yeah.
Of the record. And then other standouts for me, like 2 of my favorites are "Where Is Her Head." Is this? I love the female vocal on that track. I thought it was actually, for the first couple of listens, I legitimately thought it was Lauren Mayberry from Churches. She sounds very similar to her, but it's not. And I was a little disappointed because I like Churches a lot. And Matt actually popped up on their last record, so I figured, maybe scratch my back, you scratch I scratch yours, kind of thing. But it wasn't. It still sounds great. It doesn't change how good the song is, but that would have made me personally kind of be like, oh my god. I do want to make a comparison. And then there's.
I want to make a connection
between
on the track So Far, So Fast. I want to make a connection that, because I made a comment earlier that it sounded, just from the key of the song and the underlying electronics, it kind of reminded me of the closer to Sufjan Stevens' Illinois. Even though I guess for the most part those guys, both albums are set up differently instrumentally, because with this album feels more, I guess this one feels a lot more post-punky in some aspects, whereas with Illinois it's very symphonic folk and singer-songwriter music.
Alright, so I think that'll. And then there's Rylan on the album.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'll talk about. We're kind of we took our sweet time here, so
yeah, we're an hour in.
Shoot, we might have to cut some of this down.
No, it's good.
But,
We can go through the rating fast.
Yeah,
And we don't have to spend too long on our
the
lists. Yeah.
We compiled our scores, 3 for each album, and this is how we ended up.
Scores out of 10.
They ended up ranked out of 10. So at number 8 we have The National.
Self-titled,
which
yeah.
seems kind of like the obvious pick based on our,
Comments.
talking about that
Yeah.
album. At 7th we had Trouble Will Find Me.
Yeah, surprisingly low
then-
in the list.
Yeah, a lot of people love that one, so that might be controversial. I don't know what the general.
Please don't kill us.
And
Trouble will find us.
it would be a lot of trouble for you to do that because we're pretty scattered. We got a couple thousand miles to us.
Yeah, we're good.
Not worth it. No, at 6 we have Sad Songs for Dirty Lovers.
Yeah.
5th we have Alligator. 4th, I'm Easy to Find.
Oh,
3rd,
I'm angry about that one.
Sleep Well Beast. 2nd, Boxer. Number 1, High Violet.
Yeah, boy. High Violet, best album.
Let's go into a quick discussion on that. Agreements, disagreements.
I disagree where I Am Easy to Find is, because that's personally my second favourite of their albums. I love it, and I don't know, I get taken to another place on that one, and it gave me a feeling that none of the other National albums did, and I thought it had to be high up. I think Boxer's my third favourite, and a lot of people put that as their first, but High Violet for me takes the fucking cake. That album is ridiculously brilliant.
For sure.
So we're in agreement on, you and I are in agreement on the number 1. I think High Violet would end up being Rowan's third, right?
High Violet would be number 3 for me, and then, the thing is, I'm currently at the point where I'm at a tie between Boxer and Sleep Well Beast most of the time. But High Violet definitely comes after that, for sure.
Yeah, I think this is almost this. I swear I didn't manipulate it, but this is pretty much my list.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing
this is about how I rank them.
Sleep Well Beast higher.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, but Boxer and High Violet are about. I would give them the same score. They're both a 9 for me.
Yeah.
But I would probably if someone put a gun to my head and say, "What's your National album?" Well, firstly, I'd be like, "Why? Why is this what you're asking?"
How did you end up in that situation?
And second, I'd say High Violet. Even though they are neck and neck, I think Boxer's maybe the better album experience. As an album, it's got a more consistent mood. It's a little tighter.
Yeah.
However, I think track for track, High Violet takes the cake.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to do.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and I guess we don't really have too much disagreement about
Yeah.
We don't have any
further down.
Yeah, down the back end.
Disagreement.
I would say the biggest, I guess looking at the scores, Charlie might rate Trouble Will Find Me a little higher.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, it's a sleepy album, and I listened to it this morning when I was really tired, so I guess I was into it a bit more, and slapped an 8 on it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that's our ranking. We might set that up differently on different artist deep dives. We might spend more time explaining that and less on the summaries, but for now, we'll
go on to our...
We gave most of our thoughts on the albums.
I think we can move on.
Chronological.
Yeah, to our top 10
We're
list.
We're each give our top 10 national songs. So
and little reasons why as well. Only small ones, because we're not going to go on forever. Rowan, do you want to go first?
I guess I'll go first. Number 10 for me would definitely be 29 Years.
Oh, cool.
In August, because that's the only song I ended up taking away from that whole album. Number 9, Looking for Astronauts. There seems to be almost a little more of a lo-fi feel that track, and it feels very.
For astronauts, is that on? Sorry, is that on? That's on Alligator. Right?
That's on Alligator. It feels there's something about it that feels more like nighttimey, but like it feels very like cozy as opposed to most national songs like that. Number 8,
Right.
Cardinal. Number 8, Cardinal song because it's Cardinal song, and that's the best track on the entirety of that song. Number 7, Conversation 16, my favorite track on High Violet.
Hey.
I remember listening to this a lot while driving, and I think the album as a whole, but like more so Conversation 16, the whole album is nice. One of their few, I guess, daytime albums. But Conversation 16, I feel, is kind of indicative of that. Very beautiful track. Number 6.
That's an amazing song.
Number 6, Brainy.
Oh yeah.
Loving the drum beat, loving just the whole melody of it all. The chorus where Matt just goes, Brainy. Oh, I love that. where he kind of gets kind of mumbly. I love it. Speaking of low registers and being kind of mumbly, number 5 is the title track to Sleep Well Beast, the closer.
As soon as you said that, I knew it was going to be Sleep Well Beast.
Yeah, the 6-minute monolith.
I'm expecting these top 5 to just be Sleep Well Beast.
Although there's a few Boxer tracks in there. But yeah, number 5 is Sleep Well Beast. I think on the title track, Matt gets at pretty much the lowest as both vocal range wise that I've ever seen him go, and I can't recall a lower moment. And has very nice very nice lavish saxophones. And I love like the refrain of "I'll tell you about it sometime." But that's probably like my favorite national lyric right there, among a bunch of others, I guess. Number 4, Apartment Story. Very well put together track and almost kind of a deep cut, I guess, when it comes to Boxer. Pretty energetic, but like also very mood based. And some kind of like there's the lyrics of like doing whatever the TV tells us is very nice and probably kind of indicative of 2007 because that's what maybe a year before. Well, we still had Bush, I guess. A year before the recession.
I think there was. I don't know.
Year before the recession.
I don't know American history.
I was 5. Forgive me if my history's not the point.
Either way, Bush was still in office, and there's definitely, I guess there was definitely a lot of, what would you call it? Guilt tripping, I guess, as far as like being as far as nationalism goes. Very fitting. Number 3, Fake Empire for the whole composition of the call.
Show up.
Mm-hmm. Number 2, Dark Side of the Gym. This one was kind of a sleeper hit for me because I would always be wanting to listen to this track, but I never figured out why. And I think it's just the rhythm to it. It's very slow. It's very plodding. It's very gorgeous. Yeah. And the string section that just kind of taps off the whole track and kind of which also leads into Sleep Well Beast. Is very nice. And then my number 1 picking a number 1 was definitely very tough because it's the National. They're not meant to be a band that sticks out for one song, but rather the body of their work. And they're almost like they occupy that space of like mood building music that I would like to categorize with other artists I like Sun Kill Moon. But my number 1 song is the opener for Sleep Well Beast. Nobody Else Will Be There.
That's a good pick.
I love. I will say there is some definite overlap between your list and mine, in a few places. So.
I think you should go next as well, Wes.
Yeah, well, in which case I'll hand it off to you.
All right. So my number 10 pick is Nobody Else Will Be There. I'm looking here, and I think this is about my favorite national opener. I think it's maybe the most overwhelmingly sad national song I've heard.
Yeah, the piano really gets you.
The piano, and then that like subtle, like it starts out, you hear kind of that light acoustic sound, and then the piano kicks in, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, there's like that little
really
percussion
sad.
that sounds like someone clicking, but like delayed.
Yeah,
It's great.
But yeah, the opening lines of there's that. I really like that one lyric that paints a picture. Meet me down in the stairwell for a second.
Yeah.
In a second, glass of gin.
Oh yeah,
It's just this kind of like it's like them trying to get away. It's really, it paints this
It's an underlying
kind of black and white, very sad picture, and yeah, I love it. Great opener. At ninth, I have Guest Room off of Boxer.
Good
I don't really have a great reason why. I just really love the melody.
You could talk about
it just really.
You could talk about the opening lyrics about being sent to prison for knowing vaguely how to turn people on.
That sounds almost like a Kanye song.
Well, no, if it were a Kanye lyric, he'd go into more detail. And
yeah, probably.
It'd probably be even more memorable.
Eighth, another Boxer cut, Brainy.
Yeah.
Again, that overlap. I just love. I love the melody. It's a very fluid song. I've noticed it just flows very well, and yeah, for that reason, it's just a highlight. Great song. Seventh, Blood Buzz Ohio.
Hey.
Fan favorite song. Just a great song. I re-listened to High Violet yesterday, and a ton of songs stuck out to me, including that one. It's just great song. Like you said, there's just so many melodies that hit on that thing. The way it rises is really beautiful. And sixth, High Violet again, Vanderlau Crybaby Geeks.
Yeah.
My favorite closer, and I just love the melody. And I'm not able to hit the notes that he's able to hit without being loud, so I'm not going to try to emulate him. But yeah, it's just the melody is heartbreaking, it's emotional, and it's a really perfect closer, especially to an album that good. At fifth, end the streak of High Violet songs with Conversation 16.
Nice.
Conversation 16. Just, I don't know, there's something about that song, and again, a lot of melody is one of those things that always, it's going to get you on my side. If you can come up with a melody that I love, then that'll make the song for the most part. I'll listen to it over and over until I get sick of it. And that's exactly what makes Conversation 16 so great. And I don't know, the chorus of I'm Evil is kind of funny coming from Matt Berninger.
I was afraid I would eat your brains lyric. There's a lot of good lines on that song.
Yeah.
I'll try to be more romantic. I'll let you continue. I just wanted to put that in.
And then fourth, you'll be pleased to see Sleepwell Beast pop up again, Rowan. Day I Die. This is the song that really kind of pushed me to get into the National because I love it so much.
It's one of the more accessible ones.
I'm addicted to that drum beat. I love the lyrics of the song. The guitar is underrated. That squealing part that he comes up with. I don't know. I like the heartbreak in Matt's voice on this song. When he's like almost pleading at the beginning of the second verse, "Don't do this. I don't do this to you." It's just this. It's an up-sounding song, but it's very depressing. It has that up-tempo speed, but the chorus is literally the day I die, the day I die, where will we be?
The day I die.
The day I die. Oh. I'm very tired. Mistaken for Strangers, I talked about it earlier. Just amazing.
Great single,
relatable hook about like not really being known by your friends as well as you would hope. Second, Anyone's Ghost. I talked
Oh,
about that one.
I thought that would be your number one. I know what your number one is now.
Yeah, you know it now.
We
Number
both-
one's Rylan.
Yeah,
There you go.
there we go.
Rylan has recently usurped Anyone's Ghost. It's the only I Am Easy to Find cut on here, but it's number one. So that's funny, but they worked on this song for like 10 years. They've been playing it live, and they finally put it on the record. And I have to say, as someone who didn't have to wait for it, it's worth the wait. There's just something so compelling. It's like they're addressing someone, and like the way I read certain lyrics, it's almost like I was reading some like the intention of the song, and it's about this very introverted person. But there's that second chorus where it's Rylan, we could take a quick way out. It's almost reads about someone who's contemplating suicide.
Yeah.
And it's it's got that again up tempo drum beat, but it's a very serious and powerful song, and it's gorgeous and one of my favorite songs of the year and my favorite national song.
Awesome.
For sure.
So I guess that leaves it with me then. We'll end up with my top 10.
Take us home.
Or actually,
end this miserable scrawl for the people.
So I've got an honourable mention at number 11, which is Vandal Crybaby Geeks.
All right.
Yeah, again, excellent closer from my favourite album of theirs. I love the hooks in that. It's great, basically. And moving on to the list proper, in at number 10 is Secret Meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Because literally that opening guitar it's like so twinkly and like dreamy almost, and I love the lyrics. And then after the chorus, there's that great simple but great guitar riff. It's just, I love it. So then, moving on, number 9, we've got my only song on here from Trouble Will Find Me, Don't Swallow the Cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it really stood out to me this morning, and I had to add it. I had to add it to the list. Just again, it's one of those ones I love everything about.
Yeah. I feel like it sounds like if you took I didn't get to say this earlier, but that track sounds like if you took a typical national track and you tried to make it cheerier.
Yeah.
Which I personally love. That sounds awesome.
It's almost like if you tried to force it to be cheerier.
It's
still not.
It's trying its best. So moving on, number 8, we've got Day I Die.
Yeah.
So one of the more accessible songs of theirs, I feel. But again, it's just I love the chorus phrase, just the day I die, where will we be? It's just a great one lyrically, and just even though the little guitar melody is so simple, it's just like 2 notes, the do 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 do. It's like it still hooks you in.
It's like it's celebratory almost. It
Yeah.
sounds like if you played it on the piano, it's like, oh, this could be played at a wedding, but it's called The Day I Die, so it's like a funeral song.
So number 7, the only song on my list from Boxer.
Yeah.
And it's Slow Show. Because
honestly,
of that.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, because of that ending with 29 years. I just love that part to death.
So I think that has some of the funnier lyrics on the whole album.
Yeah.
Talking about it almost seems like Matt's cracking up while talking about putting on a slow dumb show for I guess his significant other.
So where are we now? Yeah, moving on to number 6. The first song I think's appeared on all of our lists, Conversation 16.
It's a favorite.
It's a good one.
So glad, because I thought that was
it's just that good.
Yeah, I love that one again. It's just another.
I guess we're all evil.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying.
Number 5, Rowan. This one is for you. Dark Side of the Gym. Yeah, this one appears again. It's like what you said. I don't know what it is about it, but I always come back to it.
Yeah,
I need to listen to that one more because I do love that song, but I
think
I considered it for the list, but
I think it works better with the music video because it's like a music video of two people like dancing in the middle of like a basketball court, and I think there's like balloons or something laying around them. Well, yeah, a gym, obviously, yeah. But like, yeah, it's obviously in that black and white culture that the National is known for.
Yeah.
But it's exquisite.
So next we're moving on to coming into number 4, Anyone's Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent again. Just the drums, the guitars, the great chorus hook. Fucking brilliant. And now
it's kind of sad. It's like almost painful.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Didn't want to be anyone's ghost.
I like the that one has a special meaning to me personally. Like I have my interpretation of it that I won't go into fully here. But one of the lyrics in the verses, right? I love when it goes into the chorus. Both times Matt sounds like he's choking up, but before the second one, he says, "They say it should tear a kid apart. It does." And the way he delivers "it does," I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
It hurts.
So next we're going into number 3, my favorite opener, Terrible Love.
Yeah.
High Violet, coming in strong.
Yeah, love the guitar. I love just the very beginning when it's like does a couple of muted strums and then it's just the guitar with this like dreamy effect. It sounds like it's almost coming through a radio. And then he comes in with the Terrible Love and I'm Walking with Spiders. A bit of a strange image, but again,
think about it.
same. And yeah, just love the bit with the drums as well. Great. Moving on to number 2, Light Years. My only one from I Am Easy to Find.
Yeah.
Just this song, it made me cry when I first heard it. It's just fucking...
It's very emotional.
It's an experience.
It's the piano version of I Need My Girl. So good.
Yeah, the lyrics as well, man. Fuck.
Yeah, I was kind of taken aback when that was released as a single right after. I was like, when they released You Had Your Soul With You, I was like, maybe this will be a more upbeat National album. Her single, nope.
Not. Never will there ever be an upbeat National album.
And
with the past 2 records and their singles now, I'm like, it's like, all right. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't happen again.
Right, and
it's like, oh, they'll make him. This is going to be a more positive one. All right, so bring us to your number 1.
My number 1. Yeah. We've got, drum roll please. We've got Blood Buzz Ohio.
Hey, Blood Buzz Ohio.
I love this song, just from the drums at the beginning, and then it comes in with the piano and guitars. Literally every hook in this song gets me. It's always stuck in my head, and I just love to sing it, and it's just, adore the lyrics. I owe money to the money I owe. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I've never understood why he was carried by a swarm of bees, but, you know, each to their own.
It definitely feels like a quintessential National song
when
I hear it.
Exceptional.
It seems to be the fan favorite. I was talking with one of my friends in a group chat, and I was telling him we were going to talk about the National, and he asked me jokingly, he's like, I hope one of your friends appreciates that Blood Buzz Ohio is their best song. And I was like,
hell yeah, I'm here repping. I'm here, Wes's friend.
If you watch this, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I've got your back.
Yeah.
England knows its stuff.
Yeah.
My British friend. All right. So that's about it. Those are our in-depth thoughts on the National. Very in-depth. They should be, at least.
For an hour and 24 minutes, they better bloody be.
Never have to talk about again.
And I'd like to give a special thanks to our good friend Rowan for coming on this the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. I very much enjoyed this. I think this is a very special session because I am going to go see them live within a month.
Oh shit! I didn't even know that.
And this has been helpful in helping me like articulate how I feel and what I think about the National.
If they play Blood Buzz Ohio, please record it and send it to me.
Oh, they'll definitely be playing Blood.
I've been looking at their set lists, and it seems like they are. That's become a staple.
Yeah, they're playing a lot of I Am Easy to Find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
All right.
This was awesome.
Well.
Yeah, and we'll have you again in the future, most definitely.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have to work around.
I don't want to spoil any of the future episodes, but we might be doing on a band whose name rhymes with Ming Scissored.
Yeah.
And the
no hints there at all.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, so
anyways,
this has been we have been Charlie, Wes, and Rowan, and this has been Power Trio again.
The best podcast.
We the best podcast.
Yeah.
Signing off.
Yep, signing off. Catch you guys in the next podcast.
Have yourselves a good night or day or afternoon.
Or all of the above if you're traveling through many time zones.
Straight up noon. Have yourselves a good 12 o'clock p.m.
Have yourselves a good any time of the day.
Yeah.
Alright, signing off guys. Catch you in the next podcast.